Okay, so thank you so much, Katie, and I know Barbara's here. I had a chance to meet her and all the team. I'm Kelly Rowe, and if you guys had seen any emails from me or any internal, I've actually had the privilege of being your legal and identity theft representative for over 13 years, so almost from the beginning because I did. And I had the opportunity to work with Jay and some of the other executives prior to Engage's creation because I actually have been with LegalShield. September will be 29 years. So, right, ladies, we don't like to tell our age, but started when I was very young. No, but I've had the privilege again of working with many, many employers, and of course, with Engage, like I said, for the 13 years. And I know that the purpose of today. Thank you so much, Katie, and for the for the opportunity to just come in and do a little bit of product training. I know there's lots in your world, lots changing, lots going on, lots to learn. So I really wanted to try to keep it as simple as possible. Know that I'm always a resource. Please, if you don't have my cell phone and my email address, you could be sitting with a client and send me a quick text if they have a question, and I will absolutely try to get to you as soon quickly as possible. Yeah, if you're sitting there with a client. But good news. So Legal Shield again by Forbes this year for the fourth year in a row. The best overall prepaid legal plan. Our identity theft plan, we are definitely award winning, always winning those cybersecurity awards. And so what I thought for today, I just wanted to make sure if you weren't as familiar, just give you a little bit of background about who Legal Shield is, talk about how we provide the service, our attorney network, and then just highlight, the plans that currently, that Engage offers on the legal and identity theft side. And then just again, be here for any questions. So in case you didn't know, so this is Legal Shield's corporate office. We are still out of Ada, Oklahoma, our big skyscraper there, right? But that's where our founder was from. We do have about 800 employees, so lots of home office support for our clients. We have over 40,000 group accounts. And I think one of the important numbers on this slide too is we receive, annually about 2 million requests. So the idea is, with about 5 million members now, you can see, I know a lot of clients, and when you're representing, a carrier, you want to make sure, hey, are the employees taking advantage of it? Is there usage? And we absolutely see that. Because my job, being there kind of boots on the ground and presenting to employees is just making that shift for them, showing them that it's everyday situations, it's not catastrophic things, and we really encourage usage. That's a big, big difference with our services. And so we find that they use it. Again, these could just be for a small question, a tax question, maybe an issue with a landlord, just getting their estate planning done and anything in between. And just my background, I'm an Air Force veteran, served right after high school. And I think that the reason I've been here so long, because the vision and the mission of Legal Shield is really in my heart, to really create equal access. I know that benefits are benefits are benefits, and hey, legal and identity theft, it just seems like, hey, just another great offering. But just realizing that the concept is shifting, the way that most of us, that families access the legal system. Because at the end of the day, just like with health insurance, right? The need for health insurance is, we're kind of priced out of the legal system. When attorneys are three, four, or $500 an hour, that's why our plans, right, were started. And I don't know why my computer is spiraling now, so it's not not let me. I didn't do anything different. It's not let me change the slide. And oh my goodness, it's an important one, but and again, I just, as many of this is these are the only products, right? So we know there's many carriers out there, and some of them have added, some form of legal and identity theft, but for over 54 years, these are the only plans. And we did kind of jump into the identity theft protection world before it was a household name. So, legal and identity theft. are so important, but identity theft, there are more carriers now and random, we know, right? Just as individuals getting bombarded from companies. But we did start our identity theft protection back in 2004, again, before it was a household name. I'm going to go ahead, guys, and just sorry about that. Stop share really quickly and then just see if I can start share again and get the slide back where I can change. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know why. That's kind of crazy. It's not letting me change the slide. I'm so sorry about that. But let me go ahead. Obviously, I am very familiar with the slides. Know the slides. So the biggest, oh, there we go. Now I guess it changed a bunch of slides. But this is good. This is good. So the next area that I really wanted to focus on was who are the attorneys? What sets us apart, right? Because I think in two areas that's really important. One is clients always think, wow, for $15.95 a month for the entire family, what kind of attorneys am I getting? The biggest objection that we really have to overcome in a lot of cases is, what kind of attorneys are these? And that's what sets LegalShield apart in the industry and why we're probably award winning because we don't have a network in a way of just like a list of referral attorneys where there was a survey done in 2022 just asking about the different services. And when it is a referral, when the employees actually have to go and pick from a list of attorneys, the stats show that about 34% said, hey, they spent a day or more trying to vet an attorney off the list, trying to find someone in their area, someone for the area of law they needed. And about 54% said they spent definitely between an hour or 5 hours. So, of course, that's not what we're trying to do here, right? I mean, we're trying to help the employees be less stressed, have direct access to finding law firms in their state, that they can, in between work, right? Or on a break or after work, setting up that consultation, getting the help that they need without spending extra time on just tracking down the law firm, right? And so I know the corporate offices are out of Tampa. I just thought this is just one small example of our network, right? Here we go. Now it stopped. Okay. Sorry about that, everybody. So this is what I was referring to, right? That LegalShield has built the only proprietary network of provider law firms, right? Best in class. Again, that direct access is so important. Another couple things I want to let you know is our law firms get paid per capita, right? So they're not submitting claim forms when an employee uses it. They get paid per member per month in their area. And last year, we paid our law firms over $100 million. So that's why we can request such high service standards, right? Because we're paying them. On the first of the month, they get that big retainer. That's what lawyers want, right? They want that retainer. And so we do that, and that's how we get their attention. Hopefully that makes sense. And these two numbers are super important. I wanted to tell you that the average tenure, these law firms are not owned by LegalShield, right? We contract with them. We don't require that they can't have any other clients, but very quickly, we are their number one client. And so just know that most law firms have been with us an average of 25 years. And this is the most important number, I would say, especially as a member myself for all these years, that lawyers within the law firm, their average experience is 22 years. So it's completely really an opposite dynamic than what most employees and employers might think that, oh, are these attorneys that, just passed the bar, don't have any other options, And again, that's not what we want for our clients. And so we make sure that they're very, like I said, vetted and highly experienced law firms. The other thing is that quality assurance. And I think this is so important for you. I know, your clients, you are providing a lot of service to them, and you want to make sure that we are kind of low noise, right? And that we're, only positives and none of the negatives, right? I know that's so important. And so um, we have this quality assurance that is real time online. We can see each one of our firms if there's if callbacks aren't made, if they're not made in time, right? It allows us to just continually improve these service standards. And we started a handful of years ago that each law firm actually gets an NPS score, right? That Net Promoter Score. What we're all used to, that quick survey, would you refer us to a family member or someone, would we referred, and those Net Promoter Scores. And ours are like 54, very high. And just on average, if you Google like life insurance or see what life insurance averages about, any companies are around 39%, 39 is the NPS score and 27, right, for just regular health insurance. So I say that not to say that those carriers aren't great, but just to say that this is because I really didn't understand myself NPS scores until I started learning about it this way. And then we do survey 100% of usage. So we really want to hear from that employee. We want to know how their experience was. And so this is really our competitive edge. This is what makes us different. So we can demand, right, contractually from our law firms, hey, you need to call a member back within 8 business hours, right? 1 business day. Most of the time, the average callback is around 4 hours. Documents have to be reviewed, letters written in 3 business days or sooner. Once an employee provides all the information needed for those wills, they have to be done within 10 business days. Referrals, if, our law firms do have hundreds of referral attorneys in their network. Our clients, our employees won't see that unless it's needed by the law firm. So most cases are done in-house, but if for geography or area of law, those referrals are also done, and the law firms monitor everything there. And then we are the only one that has true 24/7 emergency access. And it's, again, only because of the relationship that we have with the law firms. And from our company to our law firms, this OMG explanation point, this is really our corporate initiative to have outstanding moments guaranteed on every level. And so I wanted to show you again, you saw this slide, but this is our Florida law firm, DSK Law. They've been in practice since 1976, so 50 years. They have been contracted with us for over 30. They have offices in Orlando, Tampa, Melbourne. And so they basically take the middle of the state up, kind of Central Florida. They have over 125 professionals. Over 50 of those are attorneys. And I just wanted to point out just to understand how really top notch, all our law firms are. I could have taken any law firm in any state, but again, since we're right here in Florida, most of us, or the headquarters are here, I thought this was a good one. But absolutely, I can get any of the law firms over to you if needed. But look, I mean, just this last year, 8 attorneys were listed in the best lawyers in America, right? And for outstanding legal excellence and, a top workplace, right? From Orlando. So we want to make sure the attorneys are happy, right? If the attorneys and the staff are happy, they're going to even be better when they're dealing with our customers, right? So I just want to let you know that. And so let me just jump into the need a little bit. So why should your clients, right, the companies, be excited about offering our plans? Well, there was a survey done with over 1,000 full-time employees, and we just wanted to ask, about these benefits, about the need. So I just want to just make sure that you're out there talking about us with confidence because the need is absolutely there, right? Over 50% of the employees said they did face a legal challenge. 77%, right? This number for the first time exceeded the legal for identity theft and cybersecurity issues. 57% don't have a current will or estate planning. I know that when I do my employee presentations, I would say definitely 60, 70% of employees will just say yes, strictly because they don't have their estate planning updated. And this is at no cost, right? 94% are experiencing stress. That's one of the things we want to eliminate, that legal or identity theft stress, so that the employees can show up to work, right? More productive. And, not need to take time off work. That's a big one too, because look at this one. 61% said, hey, I took time off work to handle a legal or identity theft matter. And that's normal, right? Because think about just in our own personal lives, if there are issues that we're dealing with, most of them have to be done during the normal work hour. And so it just makes sense that someone would have to take the day off. And in fact, when you look at these were the top requested legal services. And so again, 57% estate planning, 38% was family law, right? So these are some of the top examples and stories that I use when I'm talking to the employees. And I know that that's you, right? You're client services, many of you. And so, when we're talking to the employees, we're going to see these issues come up, right? Real estate matters are big because we've got homeowners and we've got renters. Maybe the homeowners are dealing with their mortgage company, or the HOA doesn't, is having a problem, or maybe their homeowner's insurance isn't paying a claim the right way, or those landlords, aren't fixing something. Maybe they're losing security deposits. So real estate is a big deal. And, just closing on a house or having investment property, having questions. 18% consumer protection. I mean, honestly, the last time I used the services a couple months ago was for a $147 dispute. I had to travel to do an employee enrollment about 4 hours from home. So I was getting an Airbnb, but it was actually not an Airbnb. It was just a B&B on Orbitz. I use Orbitz a lot. And so I saw a place. Gosh, it was perfect. It was like 15 minutes to my meeting. You all know how that is. It was so convenient. And I get there, and it was a B&B. It was a property. It was deserted. I mean, I was almost afraid to get out of the car. It was that dangerous, with plastic in the windows and, a broken down car and a broken down bike on the property. It was really bizarre. But I thought, hey, many of us might think this in this situation. Oh, I'm going to be the hero for Orbitz. I mean, I'm going to call them and tell them, hey, you need to take this property off of your website. Well, I called and they started with their procedures, right? It was 147 bucks. They would not reimburse. They said they had to put a ticket in. They had to try to reach the property, all these things. So, of course, it was a little stressful and I got a little frustrated, but at the end of the day, right away popped in my mind LegalShield. So I went, got another hotel, unfortunately 30 minutes away now. But when I reached out to LegalShield, to my law firm, right through the mobile app, I uploaded the pictures that I took. I uploaded my receipt, set an appointment. The attorney called me back. She had already reviewed everything. She just mentioned that she needed two more things. She needed some of the good pictures from Orbitz. I hadn't included those. I only included the bad pictures. And she needed a full receipt with the taxes and everything written out. Took me about 2 minutes to upload all that, and then she wrote the letter. Of course, we didn't get the 147 back from the property. They were deserted. But when the attorney reached back out to me, we sent it to Orbitz. And so I say that story because for a couple reasons, I want you to really see how we access, the plans, how employees access the plans very simply, but how the process kind of works and makes it very easy. And I tell employees all the time, hey, that $147, getting just that back, that one issue, that one letter written on my behalf. I mean, for them at $15.95 a month, that almost pays for their plan for the entire year. So that's, the philosophy that we try to get across is that, we can really help, even if it's just a minor issue to a major issue. And hey, what's in the news, right? So what are our clients seeing? This was exciting again, that just for 2025, and above, really saying that what are the 5 key voluntary benefits to watch. So we're excited, right? Legal and identity theft, cybersecurity were those two. And even back in 2021, right? This was another great article that said, hey, what are some of the fastest growing voluntary benefits, in for 2022 and beyond? And so that's why I know that our partnership is so great. For 13 years we've been providing this, but now it's really hitting the mainstream. I mean, obviously, I know that health insurance and those core benefits, you spend lots and lots of time on those, and those are extremely important. But I'm happy to say, after my 28-year tenure, that our plans, yes, we're still under the voluntary umbrella, but they are becoming more and more valuable, more and more requested. And so, just a quick, I love talking to the employees like this. And so, hey, if they just have never heard of a legal plan, what is LegalShield, right? What is a legal plan? It gives us the ability to contact top-rated experienced law firms without worrying about getting a bill, right? Without the $300-400 an hour. So I really try to communicate to the employees this is a way for us to be proactive, for us to use attorneys as a resource like the mega wealthy do, honestly, right? And just really be able to um, you know, anytime we're signing something, anytime we have a question, can they do this? What is happening? What are my rights? Hey, you call and you don't have to worry about it. It's all unlimited. And you're not going to get a bill, right? Flat fee through payroll deduction. Doesn't matter how trivial, how traumatic. I tell them whether it's a $50 dispute with a dry cleaner or a $50,000, dispute with a roofing contractor. And so again, encouraging usage. And with these have you evers, and this is on our documents too, is we just really try to open their mind. Because a lot of us, again, we're just so programmed. It's not a legal issue unless it's a huge crisis and we have no other choice, right? So I just tell them, hey, getting your wills done, worrying about being a victim of identity theft, had any kind of disputes, just received a traffic ticket or one of your covered family members. Hey, any contract that we sign is absolutely created by an attorney. It just wasn't ours. So doesn't it just make logical sense? Hey, let's have an attorney review it and make sure it's in our best interest. Make sure that the small print doesn't take things away, or make sure that something isn't in that contract that should be. And just any consumer disputes. And so I tell employees, hey, if you've only got one of these things, our plans are going to be valuable. So again, just briefly, and I'm going to put in the chat the plan summary so that you have that as a reference. But where does it start? Hey, we first need that unlimited consultation. Here's what the mobile app looks like. It's so easy to use. Request a consult. There's a drop down. So like for me, I went to consumer issues. If it's a tax question, if it's real estate, if it's family law, the drop down is there so that the employees are going to talk to an attorney that specializes in that area. Makes it super simple. They have 3,000 characters to describe what's going on, upload any pictures, upload any documents, and then schedule the call with the attorney. And it's super simple. Again, because we don't have this list of law firms to go through, that's why this system works, that it's direct access right through the mobile app. And once the employee sets up the app or the member portal, because of where they live, because of their membership number, that automatically is going to their law firm. Document review, again, up to 15 pages each, unlimited. The estate planning, I mentioned, wills, living wills, healthcare power of attorney, financial power of attorney, done at no cost. Annual updates are done. And I just want to really point out too, when you're talking to clients, hey, yes, the employee's covered, they're the primary member, their spouse or significant other, they don't have to be married, all their children up to the age of 26. And personally, I have my son is 19. He just left to go to college. He just got home actually from his freshman year, but he's attending college. And before he left, I wasn't as concerned. Obviously, anything can happen, at that age, not thinking about maybe the wills, but it was his healthcare power of attorney that was alarming to me as the parent, right? Because any of the kids over 18, we can't automatically make those health decisions for them anymore, those financial decisions without having these documents done. So it was just huge peace of mind for me to have that done for him before he left for school. And just, knowing that our clients, that's huge. Again, wills can be $500, $1,000 or more for all these documents. So immediately our clients get, really good value. And again, it's not just a one and done. They're annually updated. And so again, let me just go back one time. I just like to tell employees, hey, you might not think you have a lot, hey, in the workforce, we know we have young, we have older. The idea is just, hey, wouldn't you want to be the one to decide than our state deciding? And especially if you have minor children for guardianship, if you have any special needs children, and hey, even just our fur babies, right? We know pet insurance is highly requested. We all take care of our fur babies, just all those things. I tell them, hey, maybe there's a form where you can get a will done. Or I was just at an open enrollment meeting and one of the life carriers mentioned this will form. But at the end of the day, it's nothing compared to having a top estate planning attorney answer all our questions, customize everything to our unique needs, right? All of us have unique family situations. And so it just doesn't compare to actually having an attorney create these documents. Quickly on the family law services, right? Also, as you saw, very highly requested. Unlimited consultation is always there for child custody issues or adoption, name change, separation, divorce. I always tell employees, hey, get your ducks in a row, right? Don't worry about, a retainer. Just call unlimited, for anything. But for adoption, name change, uncontested, separation, annulment, it's all the help, the documents and everything. And then for divorce, contested is still covered under the 25% discount, but for uncontested, if their marital assets are under 400K and neither party has separate representation, 100% of the attorney's fees are paid for. Our client, the member, only has to pay for the filing fees in that state, right? No filing fees are taken care of. So family law is very important. Also, you saw traffic related, right? Anything in our motor vehicle is so important. Keeping the points off. That's what we try to say. And especially if you have clients that kind of drive for a living, whether it's their industry, maybe plumbers, electricians, just trucks, semi drivers, we actually have a CDL plan. So we can really help the business entity too, because once that employee doesn't get those points, car insurance doesn't go up, right? That helps the company too. And I do want to mention this is something major, major that's included. We hope none of our clients ever have to use it. But besides just those moving traffic violations, if any member has an accident and they're charged with vehicular homicide, involuntary manslaughter, those cases that could be $50,000 retainer fee or more, as long as it's not drug and alcohol related, 100% of the attorney's fees are included. So again, could be worth thousands and thousands of dollars. And we are the only company that has this plan. And so the plan that Engage, presents, right, is this, right, offers. Other things related to driver's license, nothing that we see most used parts of the plan, but again, we're just protecting those employees in every way. And then we have our civil trial defense. This is very powerful for the member and the spouse if they ever get sued civilly. I know I had a member that was just just so emotionally distraught. She hit a dog in her neighborhood, called me to see if this would be covered because even though the dog wasn't on a leash, they brought the police. She didn't get a ticket or anything. She wasn't at fault. They still tried to sue her for, burial costs and replacement and all these things. And of course, this is a horrible, tragic situation, but she didn't do anything wrong. And so having those 60 hours, it increases. So as they keep the plan, right, 120, 180 to 240. And in our fifth year and beyond, we're sitting with 300 hours. It's pre-trial and trial hours, but in that case, when she reached out to the law firm and sent the lawsuit, they just made it go away because it was frivolous and because she had all these hours to defend herself. So that was very powerful. IRS audits, if we're ever have a specific audit, right? Tax questions are unlimited. I called this year, in fact, myself for a tax question. But if we're ever audited, we have 50 hours with a tax attorney. Again, very important to have a tax attorney with us. Loan documents primarily for our primary residents once a year, no page limitations. So a big help in real estate, the 24/7, as I mentioned. And I just want you to understand this part that every night, and if we scroll down where it says call the law firm on that mobile app, there's a red bar that says emergency. It calls into LegalShield's corporate office, and we will wake up the attorney wherever they're at 24/7. I know again, and I sorry to give these stories. I hope these stories kind of help put it in perspective, but I hadn't used that part personally in a while, but my sister got rear-ended right in the middle of COVID, July of 2020. Got rear-ended, had to have her car towed, hurt her shoulder, called me to come pick her up. Long story short, at 9 o'clock at night, she's in my car. She's had the membership too. Calls the 24/7 hotline. Gets she was in South Florida. Gets the South Florida law firm. Lisa, I never forget the attorney's name. Was on the phone within a couple minutes at 9 p.m. and was again just able to give my sister advice so that she wasn't as stressed. And so powerful part. And especially if you have clients that work in 24/7 industries, maybe it's hospitals or, medical, hospitality. This really gives their employees a lot of peace of mind when they're working late, working weekends, coming in early. And then our catch-all is our 25% discount. So for that, bankruptcy, DUI, I mean, could be that huge contested divorce. Our members will never pay, 100%. And all the members have access to member perks. If you ever remember Perk Spot, it is the largest employee discount program. And as long as a member buys one or both of the plans, they have access to that. Um, Again, let me address identity theft. I don't think I have to talk about how bad everything is, right? I was so alarmed to see that there have been just in May of 2026, this year alone, has been over million 30 million lives, included in a breach of some kind of cybersecurity issue. So the need is just getting greater and greater. I mentioned we all know there's other services out there, but we are award winning for many of the features. We definitely monitor more on the front end, that's early detection. We have this privacy and reputation management that nobody else has. They're removing our information from data brokers. They're looking at us on social media. Just huge. Again, features that are so important. But I put a star by this because the biggest thing that separates us and is not only a value to the employer, but to the employee so they don't have to take time off work and be extremely stressed out dealing with this is we're the only company that has licensed private in-house investigators. They are the best of the best. They keep up on all the identity theft and cybersecurity trends. If we ever become a victim, we sign a limited power of attorney and we have these investigators doing the work, right? Doing whatever it takes for as long as it takes to restore us back to pre-theft status. And so that again is what can help the peace of mind, right, for the employee. And in case, most of the time our investigators can eliminate any out-of-pocket financial losses, but in case there's anything, we have a true $3 million fraud policy. So just to show you, our individual plan is only $8.45. The legal plan is the same rate. That $15.95 is that individual employee or spouse or family. We've just always had that same rate. But when it comes to IDShield, you will see the individual rate. So 845, 1595 for family, but there is a bundle discount when they bundle it with the legal plan. So I mean, when I think about the alternatives for an entire family to get that coverage for 12.95 a month compared to like a individual LifeLock plan that is about $50 for a family of four. It's very cost effective. And I do want to mention that too, because this was kind of interesting. My last two open enrollment meetings that I attended, one was an in-person lunch and learn. Do you know that the first person that enrolled in that lunch, they were providing lunch for their entire team? was the president of the company, right? And we had obviously employees at all levels enroll. I also just did a virtual enrollment for a client outside of Denver that has a lot of employees in different states. So we did a virtual presentation. Do you know that the first, again, I do paperwork on that and then we electronically input them. It was the CEO of the company, Edward. So I say that to say our plans really do cross over every economic line because even these CEOs, presidents, doctors, I mean, lawyers on our plan, right? Believe it or not, they're making the income where they probably could afford, right? Even though they don't want to. None of us want to part with if we don't have to. Even if they have attorneys that are family members or they play golf with them, right? Or, that $300-400 an hour is still there. And they might have a family member that's a divorce attorney or a real estate attorney, but are they really going to travel outside the state to go represent them for a traffic ticket, right? So the fact that we are every area of law and nationwide coverage is really a selling point. And then I just want to plant this seed because I know that you're dealing with clients and employees where all kinds of income levels. And so something that's always stuck with me is, those that make the least are mistreated the most. And so when you really dissect it, I mean, our plan is what, $3 or $4 a week, right? That 15.95. So it really can be a tremendous value, and employees, even not that higher income levels, will still opt for it because I mean, let's think about it. They have no other recourse at all. And so it gives them, again, this tremendous access to their rights. So maybe when they do lose that security deposit, the attorneys can get it back for them. Maybe if they do get that traffic ticket that they're not going to be able to afford to pay, the attorneys can go to court at no additional cost. And I just wanted to, I love this slide because I wanted to show you, and I say this in all my presentations, because we all love the mobile apps if we love them, right? But I do get employees that say, hey, I don't use mobile apps. I just wanted you to see that the ease of access, we do have the member portal that they can access on their laptops, desktops, even if they just don't want to use the mobile app, it mirrors the mobile app. And you can see that we do encourage usage. Right on the home screen, we have the will information. You see that even bigger on the member portal, we're asking questions. We're encouraging usage. We're asking if they are a homeowner. We're asking different things, so that they will take full advantage. So this is really my second to last slide. A couple just last minute features I wanted to make sure you knew. These are incredibly discounted rates. And the fact that, some auto insurance agents, some commercial insurance agents, they are adding LegalShield to their portfolio, the individual sales. And that is about double the amount. So we can really say with confidence that because of Engage and because of, their client of Engage, that we are able to offer them a really greater than 50% savings off what the individual rates their employees would see. It's nationwide coverage, like I said. I know that this is an important question that probably comes up a lot. Our plans are portable. There's not a lot of work on the admin side. What happens is as soon as they're not on the file feed from Engage, LegalShield takes over. There's no Cobra and all that have to be done. LegalShield just contacts the employee directly and just asks for some kind of direct bill or self-pay option. And then if any of your companies, right, if any of your employers have any questions about the employees being able to use it for something work related, they cannot. So just know that every single one of the employees that enroll have a special amendment in place that says they can never use it, never, even when they port it. They can never use it for anything work related. And again, I was going to show you, I know that many carriers have these great discount programs. I just love that we do cover not just travel stuff, but every day. Some of the cell phone companies even pop in there and give discounts. we have grocery store coupons on here, hey, happy Mother's Day to those moms out there. Maybe they want to buy flowers, or I saved $200 on my security system that I bought for my house. So we're trying to encourage the employees to use it on everyday stuff, use it every day, get these discounts, and you're going to save more than what your premiums actually are. And so this is my last slide. One thing I wanted to make sure you knew is that we do have a customized website created for Engage. So shieldbenefits.com/engage PEO. I put this on all the materials because this is such a great 24/7 resource for employees before when they're thinking about electing, but really important after they're already a member. There's a tab that's a resource tab, and it has a video on how to set up their account, has, how to start their wills, other areas of law, access to forms, and just it's a really great resource. I like to say before, as they're enrolling, and just to kind of keep ongoing. But again, I always want employees to reach out to me. Oh, I realized that was my purple camo. Sorry about that. That I have a veterans organization too, but the Kelly at AKA Solutions Inc. Really, either one of them would work, but primarily through Engage and all the clients is my Kelly at AKA Solutionsinc.com, which was on the first slide, and I can put it in the chat. So yeah, Katie, I mean, thank you everyone. I know I went a little over 30 minutes. I definitely wanted to, oh, thank you, Jennifer, about the stories. Um, I definitely wanted to, open it up for any questions, and let me put my information in the chat as well. And then before I log off or before we end, I will put some of those, the plan summary and some other things just for you to print off and have, even though they are available. And I think, Katie, you mentioned we'll get this recording out and maybe have an email with those documents attached to. So if you're listening, from your
Yeah,
phone or something, yeah.
we have a place where we save resources. So yeah,
Oh,
yep,
perfect.
we'll make sure all of this is saved so people can access it. I know
Okay.
you shared some flyers with Stephanie as well, so
Oh,
all those
yes, I
things. We'll
did.
we'll make sure
Yes.
um, we have all that information saved.
Okay, great. And can you think of, was there any other like I said, I'm really client focused, every day doing a lot of enrollments as well as talking to the owners and the HR teams. So, are there any other questions or comments that anybody is getting out there that you want me to make sure and address? But like I said, don't hesitate to ever reach out to me with client questions for sure.
Yeah, I don't have anything. So if anyone else has a question,
Okay.
feel free to speak up. Otherwise, we can wrap up too.
Yeah, and again, thank you for the invitation. I really, of course, value your partnership all these years. Look forward to many, many years to come. And I just, again, I want to be here to make your life easier. I know, like I said, you have lots of benefits in your portfolio that you need to learn. And so if any time, and one last thing I just want to mention, if you have any of those clients that are, we all know the more high maintenance clients that are like, hey, what's out there for me? And ones that are just like, hey, don't talk to me till next year. But do estate planning workshops, more on the educational level, not as an attorney, but highlighting. I've actually done some identity theft workshops as well, just kind of awareness, whether they're a client or not, can help them. So, and even our law firms, we can request some trainings if they would prefer to have an actual attorney do the estate planning workshop. We can request those. So, so glad I thought that. I just want to make sure that if you ever have clients that are more appreciative of the education, webinars, seminars, lunch and learns, right? Breakfast and benefits, any of those kind of things, don't hesitate to reach out to me on that too.
Great. Well, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you again, everybody. Great to at least virtually meet you. And many of you that I've only emailed, at least you can, put a face to a name. But thank you again, Katie and Barbara, for the time. And like I said, I look forward to the partnership.
Wonderful. Thank you. Have a good
Okay,
afternoon.
thank you so much. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.